Hello Grassy friends, I'm Lien from Studio Kato and I'm so happy you're joining me again today. Today I'm back with another video for Reverse Confetti using some older products since the new release will drop super soon and I'll be all over that of course. Now I'm starting out with a white piece of watercolor cardstock, but I'm going to completely cover it with first some water, then some magical shakers by Lindy's gang, and then to get the color moving I will spritz on some more water and use my brush to just get the color moving around and make sure that everything is covered. Because what I'm basically wanting to do here is I just want to color this entire piece of cardstock, so I have 3 different shades here to die cut some shapes out of. Coloring cardstock yourself will usually end up with a lot more texture and more interesting die cuts. Now you can see that I taped this piece of paper down onto a wooden board. I taped it down because that will minimize warping, and I taped it onto a wooden surface instead of my usual self-healing cutting mat because wood won't warp when you heat it up with your heat tool. This took ages to dry, and if I had done this on my cutting mat it would have been ruined. Now, as I mentioned, from that watercolor piece I just made, I will just die cut some flowers for this card, and it's going to be a mini slimline card, and I figured I would make the background now. This is a piece of Clairefontainen DCP 250 GSM cardstock. It's nice and stark white, and it's also really great for ink blending. I am using a Dutch Doobadoo stencil. I will list it in the description below. But I'm not sure if it's still around. It's quite an old stencil. And I am blending on some Pinkfresh Studio inks. I will list the colors I used below as well. But I'm just using some fresh greens here. I wanted to add some leaves to my card. I have some flowers die cut from that watercolor piece, but I figured a touch of greenery would freshen it up. Now I have this Hope die cut by Reverse Confetti, and I die cut it a couple of times out of white cardstock, but on the top layer, because I always layer my sentiment dies, I am adding some ink blending. Now this is not the paper I usually use for ink blending, but it just shows how awesome these Oxide inks are, that they still blend on like butter. This is shaded Lilac, Wilted Violet, and I'm also using the new Villainous potion. Well, it's new to me. It's been out for a little bit now. I'm just using some purple here because that would match my flowers wonderfully. With such a large sentiment, I often do some ink blending because I like the depth it adds and the interest you get on a nice and bold sentiment. Now, as I said, I die cut this a couple of times, so let's layer all of those up. I am starting to layer up the Hope there, just 2 pieces of thick white cardstock and then the ink blended one on top. Then you also have the shadow layer for this Hope die by Reverse Confetti, and I die cut that 3 times out of that thick white cardstock and once from gold glitter cardstock. I love some purple and gold together. It's just so beautiful. Then this die also comes with that little radiant O you get, so I layered that behind the shadow layer, then put the scripty layer on top, and then I can start to figure out how to put this card together. So I have my ink blended panel. You can see I'm making a mini slimline card, and this is slightly smaller than my card base, so I will have a nice margin all the way around. And then I have all those die cut florals. These are from the Floral Chain cover die or cover panel die set by Reverse Confetti, and I just cut a bunch of them out of that painted cardstock I made. Now before I put them on the card, I first put them onto this piece of foam. This is actually from my Misty, but if you have some craft foam, that would probably be better for this because it's slightly softer. And then I used the rounded pen cap of my white gel pen. Any rounded thing will do. And I'm just pressing the flowers into that foam, and that will dome them up. So the petals will flare up a little bit, and the center of the flower will be more depressed. Now, if I were to make this card again, I would obviously do all of this after I have put this ink blended background already on my card, because now I'm going to have to glue it all in place with all those dimensional things already on my card front. By the way, I'm using Nuvo Deluxe adhesive to adhere all these elements because it's a stronger glue and it dries quicker than the Barely Art Precision Craft glue. The Barely Art glue is perfect for things like this. I am just using scraps of cardstock here to glue behind my panel. And that will give it some nice dimension, and then I can glue it onto my card base as well. And to add something to the center of these florals, I am using Nuvo Crystal Drops. These are the Ivory Seashell color, and while it is just some pearlescent white, this is going to change color once it dries. With the Lindy's Gang Magical Shakers underneath them, or any water reactive medium, it will pick up some of that color. So it will end up being the same color as the flowers, just a little bit paler and pearlescent. I love that finish. Now I stamped a sentiment strip in Versamark ink onto black cardstock and embossed it with Wow Bright White Superfine Embossing Powder. And it says, "All your wishes come true." So the full sentiment reads, "Hope all your wishes come true." Now, when I tried to put that on, I messed up one of the Nuvo drops on my flowers. So I had it all over my fingers and it was in a couple places on the card. I'm using a really fine needle because that's what I had handy, but any fine tool will work. I'm just scraping off the messed up drop there so I can add it in again and it will dome up nicely. I'm going to wait to do that until I've placed my sentiment strip. I glued a piece of cardboard to the back of that sentiment strip to give it some dimension, some nice sturdy dimension, and then I can glue all of that onto my card. Now I just fill in that missing Nuvo drop in that flower center, and then the card is finished. I really love how this turned out. I love that hope die. I've had it for a while now from Reverse Confetti, but I couldn't find an occasion to use it. It comes again with that stamp set I mentioned, which is a great stamp set, but it's all for encouragement cards mostly. And I don't send out a lot of those because by the time I know someone needs them and by the time it reaches them, it's probably at least a few days too late. So I don't see the point of it. Which probably makes me a horrible person. But I figured I'd make the sentiment into a birthday sentiment instead. Now I folded a matching envelope out of bright green pattern paper, and I also have that purple flower saved, which I will use to close the envelope with. And on the front of the envelope, I'm using a couple more of those flower die cuts and just gluing them on. And that's my project all finished. I really hope you like it. Hope you like it. I really like that hope die, and I love the Lindy's Gang Magical Shakers. These flowers are so beautiful in real life. They are just stunning with all the shimmer, and the colors are incredibly vibrant. I hope you like it too. If you did, make sure to leave a thumbs up on this video and leave your thoughts in the comments below. I would love to read them. You can also find this post on the Reverse Confetti blog. I will link that below. And from tomorrow onwards, I'm pretty sure that tomorrow the sneak peeks will start for the new Reverse Confetti release. So make sure you don't miss any of those. It's bound to be a lot of fun again. Now don't forget, you can always subscribe to my channel if you want to see more of my videos, and I will also leave my Reverse Confetti playlist linked right here on the video. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.